let's just jump into what causes me the most controversy, I guess. Last week I started off by saying Justin Trudeau had admitted he made a mistake with the immigration system, saying that they didn't calculate it properly, and that he's going to start rolling people back. And I said, this is going to open up Pierre Poilievre talking about it more and more and more. So last week we talked about a clip of him where he said Justin Trudeau had actually screwed up the immigration system. And I said that this had stemmed from the People's Party of Canada putting out a platform that was saying to put a pause on immigration, and it was extremely popular, and I said it would shift the window a little bit because that's what they're talking about in the U.S. I don't know if you noticed in the Donald Trump rallies leading up to the election, there was mass deportations now signs. And in a country up here in beautiful Great White Canada, that is the sentiment, at least the sentiment of most people, is that there's too many people here. I don't know if they've gotten to deportations yet. However, this is effectively what people want, is fewer people here, and there is probably a couple million too many people here. So now Pierre Poilievre has taken this chance where Trudeau has said finally that there's a problem with his immigration system, even though he blames it on different, universities and employers who are following his rules. But Pierre Poilievre has taken this, and he knows now that he can start to talk about it. So he's slowly escalating his rhetoric, which I'm in favor of. So previously, they had said, we just need to make sure the people who overstay their visas go home. Now, the Conservative Party is talking about 500,000 people overstaying their work visas. He's talking about, I believe it was 2.4 million people whose visas are set to expire at the end of 2025. And, even though they are yet to talk about how many people are here through regular immigration, I mean, that's almost 3 million people that would be gone if all the rules were actually followed, which I think a lot of people would be happy with, no matter what their race is, right? Everybody on the left wing, or at least the hardcore left wingers, will try to make it a racial argument or an ethnic argument. It's not. It's just about the sheer amount of people that have been brought into the country, which makes everything unaffordable and crowded. So let's see what Pierre escalated to this week, and this was in the House of Commons, and it's actually pretty funny. He's always had the quips, but now he's starting to say things that I agree with, which he hasn't necessarily for half the time in the last few years. But I think most people who are, let's call them beginning levels conservatives all the way to the extreme reaches of the far right can now agree with.
This weak Prime Minister has lost control. He's lost control of immigration, lost control of our borders. And now we're facing massive threats to our economy. Right now, there are as many as 500,000 people here illegally. There are 700,000 students who came here with the implicit promise they'd be able to stay forever, and now they're being told they have to leave with the temptation that they might head south for the much stronger economy than we have here, which would provoke a massive retaliatory tariff. So what's the plan to reverse all the damage the Prime Minister's done?
Hundreds of thousands of people come here as temporary residents, and then they leave. Some become permanent residents. There is a plan to achieve that. They will migrate into permanent residency, but not all can stay here.
I mean, we're a little bit backwards to start here. People don't want all these people to stay here who are temporary students. Just because the universities make money, just because the universities benefit from having these students here and paying double the price for tuition, and, Tim Hortons and Walmart benefit from all these people coming here who barely speak English, by the way, and working at lower wages through specialized visas subsidized by the government, doesn't mean people actually just want to plan for them to stay. That's not what people are arguing here for. People are arguing for, how do we reduce all of this? And so Pierre started off with, 1.2 million people there in combination with illegal immigrants and student work visas. But I think the idea here is everybody would like those people to no longer be in the country. For the most part, I think more than half the country believes that. I'm confident saying about at least 60% think that there are way too many people here, and the people who are here temporarily, who end up staying most of the time, need to return to their country of origin, whether it's Iceland or New Zealand or whatever you guys want to say.
And when they refuse to do so, they will be removed.
Speaker, that member hallucinates almost as badly as his weak leader, who refuses to stand and answer for his own border failures. Let's look at his record. He opened Roxham Road. He kept it open for a year longer than the Americans required. He put out a tweet saying, "Welcome to Canada," inviting people to come here illegally. According to that minister's department, there are 500,000 people here illegally, all of whom could be tempted to go south of the border, provoking a massive retaliatory response. So once again, what's the plan to fix what he broke?
So before we get into his ad there, of course they have no real plan. Their plan, just like the far-left liberals in the Democrat Party in the United States, and what they wanted to do was naturalize these citizens. This is what the liberals want to do. Now, don't get me wrong, the Conservative Party of Canada wants to naturalize a whole bunch of people that they believe would vote for them. A lot of Middle Eastern people, because they are not super liberal in the purest form of their belief systems. But Justin Trudeau's liberals don't have a plan. They know they're on their way out. So would it be in their best interest to try to legalize all these temporary residents as fast as possible? Of course it would, because they will be thankful. I love the way he is not willing to hold anything back in his criticism of Trudeau because of all they've taken from him. Really, the liberal movement in Canada has taken a lot from Jordan Peterson, and he has no qualms, given his status, about just calling them out on their bullshit. And it's pretty nice. Let's watch.
We have Justin Trudeau, who came out and starting to realize, if you don't mind I do this, that
Peterson couldn't even make it 3 seconds without holding that back.
There's a little problem with illegal immigration in his country, and it's overwhelming everything. Here's what he said to the Canadian people.
Immigration. Let's talk about it. In the last 2 years, our population has grown really fast, like baby boom fast. And increasingly, bad actors like fake colleges and big chain corporations have been exploiting our immigration system for their own interests. So we're doing something major. We're reducing the numbers of immigrants that will come to Canada for the next 3 years.
Why?
Pause there to let you know that he says for the next 3 years, he's reducing it only down to 365,000, which is still at least 100,000 people more per year than pre-COVID numbers. So we screwed up the immigration. We didn't calculate it properly. People are taking advantage of our rules that we've set the last decade. So we're going to reduce it for only 3 years and only to an amount that's still more than we ever had before. So we've increased it overall. It's like when they say inflation has gone down, shouldn't you be happy? It's like inflation was at 7% for a couple years, and even though it never goes, that additional cost you have never goes away and gets piled on top of each other, we've lowered inflation down to 2 or 3% or whatever it is now. It all adds up. So even though they're reducing the immigration down to 365, it's actually just been ballooned up past that. Go from 175 to 250,000 here, and then during COVID we go up to like 1 million, and they're like, oh, we're going to bring it back down to 365, which is still more than it initially was, but we'll hold it here temporarily because you're stupid. I mean, that's how they talk to you. It's like, we're going to lower it for 3 years. That ought to do it.
Turn it up, Jordan.